that half the battle is realizing that you're not the only person fighting the battle, because there's comfort in knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because when I suffered, well, I don't anymore, but I was suffering from some really bad anxiety attacks. And I thought that I was crazy and that I was the only person in the world that was dealing with this. I thought I was completely losing my mind. And it started I started dealing with the anxiety right about a few months after I was diagnosed with cancer. And the type of cancer I have affects the body chemistry, which can bring on anxiety and depression anyways. But it was that's when I realized that things weren't like they used to be. It was like something just happened. I started dealt with an anxiety attack. I know that a ton of people have had anxiety attacks, and probably just as scary as mine, but mine stuck. It never went away. Like, I just kept having it over 24 hours a day. I was having anxiety in my sleep, and that's that's a whole long story in its own. Save that for another time. But that's where
that's where you started Xanax?
That's where I started Xanax, and I started Paxil.
Okay.
Now, if I would have done what the doctor told me to do, and just take Paxil and the amount of Xanax that they prescribed, I would have done fine. But there was a point in my life where I was partying a lot. I was going out, and Wednesday night was someplace, Thursday night was some other place. Not, I was still working full time. I had a surfboard company, and there were surfboards at that time. But that was my passion, was going out and trying to meet as many girls as I could. But I started thinking, what makes it even more fun? This drug makes me feel good. So, like a lot of other people, most people that I know, started doing both. And it's just a whole nother level of feeling good. And what you don't realize when you're feeling so good is how bad you're gonna feel when it's done. But I was partying so much, it's kind of like it's just all a hangover, and then you're going out the next day.
Right.
When you realize that taking 6 pills a day is probably not a good idea, and you should start, backtracking, is when I realized that I had a problem. 6 pills a day is a lot. It's enough to, if you stop cold turkey, you die. You probably.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I would start having tremors. My lips would shake, and that was just when I first started lightly having my withdrawals from this stuff. And I found a good psychologist. I started going to see an actual psychiatrist instead of my doctor, and my goal was to get on a medication to make me feel good. Well, I was on all kinds of different drugs, for depression and, for the cancer, so it's kind of like opening up a combination lock with just one number is real easy to figure out, but when you have 8 different drugs and they're all could be counteracting with each other one way or another, you don't know what's causing you to feel so horrible, like crazy. Like, I just looked normal on the outside, but I was so uncomfortable on the inside that, suicide was on my mind. I could be having a normal conversation with my mom or a friend or anything, in the back of my mind, I just felt like I was trapped in a horrible person's body. And the whole, basically what I wanted after my psychiatrist is just to make me feel good. And what we started doing is adding more medicines on, and more antidepressants. I just started, every time I was on a new antidepressant, I would get a horrible reaction. Nothing ever got any better, it just got worse. And every time you get on a new antidepressant, you gotta supposedly wait 30 days before the positives start kicking in anyway, so in the meantime, you're just like, when is this gonna work? I feel terrible. But what I was failing to do is realizing that the true problem wasn't anything more than the fact that I was addicted to a terrible drug, which was Xanax.
Wow.
Xanax maybe saved my life at one point, because I was very bad. Like, I couldn't work, I lost all my weight, I was just so stressed out. It was the worst thing that I've ever gone through, 1,000 times worse than going through cancer. Just
Anxiety.
It was terrible, yeah. You
Yeah,
know.
anxiety is awful.
So I decided that I was gonna start getting off of Xanax and start lowering it down. But I wasn't finished drinking yet.
Right.
And then when you drink, you feel terrible the next day, and the one thing that makes you feel normal again, or at least enough to
The
cope with
Xanax.
life, is Xanax. So that's how I ended up, being on 3 today to 4 to 5 when I'm like trying to get off of it, and I realized this drug's got a hold of me. I'm not
Wow.
controlling this drug. This drug's controlling me. So that's what I told my doctor, is that I need to get off of this drug. And we tried some different prescriptions to ease that, and I would get down to 3 or 4.5, and it was so bad, even with the help of with other drugs that were supposed to stabilize my mood. I mean, I just couldn't stand being in myself.
Right.
Like, all I wanted to do was sleep or go get a massage somewhere. It was like the only comfort that I could get besides taking medicine, which is what I was trying to stop doing. So, I mean, there's a lot of times where I didn't think I was gonna make it. I thought it would be completely impossible to get off of Xanax. And I just, besides my own stories, like knowing, stories that Brad's told me and a lot of my other friends that have gotten hooked on it, I knew that, this isn't gonna be easy, but I had to take care of it. And I'm in the insurance business, like you guys know, and I started specializing in the medical marijuana. And I've never been a marijuana smoker really at all, and my whole goal in life, even today, or one of my goals, is just to be completely clean. I don't want to do any drug,
Right.
but for me, and it's probably not advice or anything for anyone else, but I started trying a couple different types of top shelf medical marijuana from Collective, where I trust the guy a lot,
Right.
and not abuse. I didn't take it out, go out on the town with it or anything like that. I just took it at nighttime, or when I started having these really bad withdrawals from the Xanax, and I just take as much of it as I needed, and that has helped me in the last year probably to get down to 1 pill
Okay.
a day. So the last pill is the hardest. The last amount of this drug is the hardest to get off of.